A brief history of Third Avenue United Church. The original Third Avenue Methodist Church, as it appeared in 1908, on the far left of the photo, can be seen the detached church manse. Completed in 1904, the wood-frame church was located at 144 3rd Avenue South on 6 lots purchased for $450. This is the same site that was later to be occupied by the Eaton's department store. Prior to this church being built, Methodist services were conducted in the Delmage Hall, located above the general store of the same name on 1st Avenue South. The relatively small building was to serve the congregation well, but in 1911 the property was sold for $75,000 following a 1910 decision to build a much larger church in a location 3 blocks further north on 3rd Avenue. The interior of the original church as it appeared in 1911, showing the choir gathered behind the pulpit. Laying the cornerstone of the new church on May the 13th, 1912. A copper time capsule was buried under the cornerstone by the city's first mayor, James Clinskill, and the University of Saskatchewan's inaugural president, Dr. Walter Murray. When the church was dedicated on June 29, 1913, Dr. Murray called it the first permanent home of religion in Saskatoon. Construction of the church, 1912 and 13. Winnipeg architect John Nelson Simmons was hired to design the massive project, and the general contractor was let to Smith Brothers and Wilson. The new 3rd Avenue Methodist Church was to be a solid stone structure based on the English Gothic design. The selection of Winnipeg Tyndall stone mirrored that chosen for the newly founded University of Saskatchewan campus, albeit a different shade, as the main body of the church utilized a buff color stone, with the university-style blue-gray only being used for the trim. The substantially completed church in 1913 with construction rubble still on the site. The finished structure's 2 towers, the larger of which was 100 feet in height, fronted onto 24th Street. The interior, which seated 1,200 on the main floor and balcony, was dominated by a series of hammer beam rafters crisscrossing the ceiling from steel girder trusses, as well as 3 enormous stained glass windows on the west, south, and east sides. The total cost for the building, land and furnishings amounted to $191,000. Of this, $162,500 was for the cost of the land and the structure. A manse was also built at the same time on a nearby lot. In the foreground can be seen the newly constructed YWCA, which opened in 1912. This scene shows the new church's location in relation to City Hall and Fire Hall Number 1. A view of the Saskatoon Oratorio Society and orchestra members during the presentation of Handel's Messiah in the new 3rd Avenue Methodist Sanctuary on December 3, 1913. One of the sanctuary's remarkable features was its lack of pillars, a design element that provided outstanding sightlines. In the background on the north wall is the magnificent Cassavant organ with its 3 manuals, 39 stops, 2,468 pipes and 20 bells. It was manufactured in St. Hyacinthe and installed in the church for a total cost of $10,000. When constructed, the 3rd Avenue Methodist Church was the largest stone structure in Saskatoon's downtown, being built of natural stone from its foundation to the top of its 2 towers. It also contained the largest sanctuary of any church on the prairies and the 3rd largest in Canada. The massive hand-painted stained glass windows are 8.2 meters wide at the base and 6.7 at the top, and are considered to be amongst the largest art installations in the province. Saskatchewan Grain Growers Association convention delegates posing outside of 3rd Avenue Methodist Church in 1916. During World War I, quilts were often made by various groups for the Red Cross in order that they might be sold to raise money for that international organization. This particular quilt bears an embroidered inscription on its large center cross which reads, 3rd Avenue Methodist Church, 1918, Saskatoon, Canada, George K. B. Adams, Pastor H. Alice Adams, Red Cross Club. Additionally, over 900 handwritten signatures have also been added to it. The quilt was sent to England in 1918 and now resides in the Imperial War Museum in London. The United Church was inaugurated on June 10, 1925 in Toronto, Ontario, when the Methodist Church of Canada, the Congregational Union of Canada, and 70% of the Presbyterian Church of Canada entered into a union. Also joining was the small General Council of Union Churches, centered largely in Western Canada. It was the first union of churches in the world to cross historical denominational lines and received international acclaim. Each of the founding churches had a long history in Canada prior to 1925. The most prominent feature of the church's interior is the lofty hammer beam rafters of heavy dark oak, which crisscross the cathedral ceiling from a series of steel girder trusses. The 1,200-seat auditorium wraps around the pulpit on three sides in a continuous and unsupported balcony, which, when constructed, was considered to be somewhat of an engineering feat. Each of these three sides is adorned with a huge Gothic stained glass window. These are supplied by the Luxfer Prism Glass Company at a cost of $1,500 each. Third Avenue United Church is significant to Saskatoon for more than its architectural heritage. Almost since its inception, the church's sanctuary has always served a dual role as an auditorium for concerts. Its acoustic qualities are considered by many to be the finest in the city. In recent years, local groups such as the Amati String Quartet, the Metro Jazz Band, the Saskatoon Youth Orchestra, the Children's Choir, and others have made it their preferred venue. In addition, many internationally ranked performers such as Jan Lizicki, the Tafel Music Baroque Orchestra, and even the late great Arthur Rubinstein have also graced its auditorium. Third Avenue United Church is the first Canadian building digitally archived in the SciArc World Heritage Database. It is part of a list of 100 major world historical landmarks that have already been archived. That list includes such iconic subjects as the Sydney Opera House, Pompeii, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the RMS Titanic, and Mount Rushmore.